First contact, first blood. The UES Arcturus hung silently against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars, its kilometer-long hull gleaming under the light of a distant binary system. Captain Ilara Chen stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen as it displayed sensor readings from the unexplored region of space they had entered just 3 days ago. 20 light-years from home, she murmured, running her hand along the polished rail of her command station. I still can't believe we made it this far. The Arcturus represented humanity's greatest achievement, a warship built not for conflict with other human nations, but as a precaution against whatever might await them among the stars. Equipped with experimental graviton drives, adaptive shielding, and rail cannons that could accelerate projectiles to near-relativistic speeds, it was a force to be reckoned with. At least, that's what Earth's military strategists hoped. Captain, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures approximately 800,000 kilometers off our starboard bow, reported Lieutenant Commander Raj Kapoor, his fingers dancing over the sensor controls. They're unlike anything in our database. Chen straightened, her fatigue instantly forgotten. Can you put it on screen? The view screen shifted to show what appeared to be empty space, but as the computer enhanced the image and adjusted for various wavelengths, flashes of light became visible. Magnify, Chen ordered, and the bridge crew collectively held their breath as the image resolved further. Ships, dozens of them. 2 distinct groups engaged in what could only be described as a battle. Energy weapons lanced between vessels of varying sizes and configurations, some sleek and crystalline, others bulky and organic-looking. My God, whispered Commander David Torres, Chen's executive officer, we're witnessing an alien war. Chen's mind raced. The Arcturus directive was clear: observe, document, and avoid engagement unless absolutely necessary. But as she watched the conflict unfold, she realized they had stumbled upon something that would forever change humanity's understanding of their place in the universe. All stations to yellow alert, she announced, her voice calm despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. Begin passive scans of both fleets. I want to know everything about them, their weapons, defenses, propulsion systems, and prepare the first contact package. Captain, Kapoor interjected, one of the vessels has broken formation and is heading in our direction. Chen watched as a sleek, crystalline ship approximately half the size of the Arcturus veered away from the main battle and accelerated toward their position. Its surface glimmered with an iridescent blue-green light, and what appeared to be weapon ports glowed along its flanks. They've detected us, Torres said. Open a channel on all frequencies, Chen ordered. Transmit the first contact package. Let them know we come in peace. The communications officer nodded, sending the carefully prepared message, a series of mathematical sequences followed by simple images depicting humans and Earth, designed to convey peaceful intentions to any intelligent species. The approaching ship showed no signs of slowing. If anything, it seemed to accelerate. No response to our transmission, Captain, reported Ensign Maya Wong from communications. They're charging weapons systems. Chen's expression hardened. Shields up. Bring us to red alert. The lighting on the bridge shifted to a crimson hue as alert klaxons sounded throughout the ship. The crystalline vessel was now close enough to make out finer details. It was adorned with what looked like battle scars, suggesting this wasn't its first engagement. Captain, should we take evasive action? Torres asked. Chen shook her head. Not yet. I don't want to appear aggressive. Continue broadcasting. Her words were cut short as a brilliant beam of energy lanced from the alien vessel, striking the Arcturus head-on. The entire ship shuddered, but the shields held. Shield status, Chen demanded. Shields holding at 92%, Captain, reported Lieutenant Riley Takahashi from Tactical. That was a high-energy particle beam, but our adaptive shielding compensated almost immediately. Chen's eyes narrowed. They fired without provocation. Target their weapons systems and return fire. Standard kinetic rounds only. The Arcturus's main rail cannon charged in seconds. The massive electromagnetic accelerator ran the length of the ship, capable of firing tungsten carbide projectiles at a significant fraction of light speed. When it fired, there was no dramatic flash, no beam of light, just a barely perceptible vibration through the deck plates as a projectile the size of a small car was launched toward the crystalline ship. The effect was devastating. The alien vessel's shields flared a brilliant purple before collapsing entirely. The kinetic round passed clean through the ship's midsection, leaving a gaping hole. Secondary explosions cascaded along its hull as atmosphere vented into space. "Direct hit," Takahashi reported, surprise evident in her voice. "Their shields failed completely. They're venting atmosphere and have lost power to multiple systems." The bridge crew stared in shock. They hadn't expected their weapons to be so effective against an obviously advanced alien vessel. "More ships breaking away from the main battle, Captain," Kapoor warned. "3 vessels of similar configuration are on an intercept course." Before Chen could respond, several ships from the other alien fleet, the ones with the organic-looking hulls, moved to intercept the approaching crystalline vessels. Energy weapons fired in rapid succession, and 2 of the approaching ships were disabled almost immediately. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," Wang announced. It's coming from one of the organic ships." Chen straightened her uniform. On screen, the view screen flickered, and for the first time in human history, Earth's representatives looked upon an alien face. The creature had mottled gray-green skin that seemed to ripple with subtle patterns. 4 amber eyes arranged in a diamond pattern blinked independently, and what appeared to be breathing filaments extended from the sides of its elongated head. The alien spoke, its voice a series of clicks and undulating tones that the ship's computer couldn't possibly translate. But the meaning was clear enough from the tactical situation. They had intervened on behalf of the humans. "Ensign Wang, run their language through the linguistics database. See if we can establish basic communication," Chen ordered. "Captain, the crystalline ships are regrouping," Kapoor reported. "They appear to be preparing for another attack." Chen made a decision. "Target the lead vessel's propulsion systems. Fire when ready." The Arcturus fired again, this time launching a spread of smaller projectiles from its secondary rail systems. The effect was less dramatic but equally effective. The lead crystalline ship's engines went dark, leaving it drifting in space. The remaining crystalline vessels abruptly changed course, accelerating back toward their main fleet, which was now disengaging from the battle entirely. "They're retreating," Torres said, disbelief evident in his voice. Chen nodded. "For now. But I doubt they'll stay away for long." She turned to Wang. "Any progress on that translation?" "The computer is identifying some basic linguistic patterns, Captain. I think I can establish rudimentary communication." "Do it," Chen ordered. The organic ship that had transmitted earlier was now approaching slowly, its weapon systems apparently powered down. 2 more organic vessels flanked it protectively. "Captain," Takahashi said quietly, "I've analyzed the battle data. The crystalline ships, they're part of something called the Scourge Dominion according to intercepted communications. The organic vessels appear to belong to the Meridian Collective." "Now we have names," Chen murmured. She raised her voice. "Open a channel to the approaching vessel." The alien appeared on screen again, this time accompanied by 2 others of similar appearance. The center alien wore what appeared to be ornate armor, or perhaps ceremonial clothing. "This is Captain Ilara Chen of the United Earth ship Arcturus," she said clearly. "We thank you for your assistance." The computer attempted to translate, producing a series of sounds that made the aliens tilt their heads in what might have been confusion or interest. The center alien spoke again, and this time the computer managed a crude translation. "I am Fleet Commander Jarek of the Meridian Collective Defense Force. Your weapon technology, unprecedented. Who are you?" Chen repeated her introduction, and this time understanding seemed to dawn in the alien's 4 eyes. "Humans, Unknown species. Your ship withstood Scourge beam weapon. Impossible. Chen smiled slightly. Apparently not impossible, Commander Jarek. We developed our defensive systems independently. There was a pause as the translation worked both ways. Then Jarek responded, "Must speak. Urgently. Scourge will return. Stronger." "I agree," Chen said. "Would you like to come aboard our vessel to discuss this situation?" After another pause and what appeared to be a consultation with the other aliens, Jarek responded, "Yes. We'll dock. 3 representatives." 6 hours later, the Arcturus's conference room hosted the first official diplomatic meeting between humans and the Meridian Collective. The 3 aliens, Zarek, and 2 others introduced as Science Director Nilara and Strategic Advisor Voxel, sat across from Captain Chen, Commander Torres, and Dr. Isabel Nakamura, the ship's chief xenobiologist. "The war has raged for over 80 cycles," Jarek explained. The translation now considerably improved after Dr. Nakamura's adjustments. "The Scourge Dominion expands constantly, consuming resources and subjugating species. The collective formed to resist." "How many species are involved?" Dr. Nakamura asked, barely containing her excitement at meeting not just one but multiple alien civilizations. "The collective includes 16 spacefaring species," Naylora replied. "The Scourge has conquered or exterminated at least 9 that we know of." Chen frowned. "And where is Earth in relation to this conflict?" Voxel manipulated a small device, projecting a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. A vast region illuminated in red represented Scourge territory, while blue indicated collective space. A small marker appeared far from both zones. "Your system is here, in what we call the Void Periphery," Voxel explained. "No known civilization has explored this region thoroughly. We thought it empty." "So neither side knew about humans until today," Torres clarified. The aliens confirmed this with a gesture that resembled a nod. "What I don't understand," Chen said, "is why your weapons seemed ineffective against each other, yet we disabled a Scourge ship with a single shot." The aliens exchanged looks that even humans could recognize as surprise. "Your weapon technology is unlike anything in known space," Jarek said. "Physical projectiles at such velocities. We abandoned such approaches millennia ago in favor of energy weapons. The Scourge shields are calibrated against energy attacks, not kinetic impacts." "And why did our shields hold against their beams when yours failed?" Torres asked. "Unknown," Naylor admitted. "We must study. But your arrival has changed the balance of power. The Scourge will not ignore this." Jarek leaned forward. "They will return, Captain Chen, with greater numbers, and they will pursue your ship to your homeworld if necessary. The Scourge do not tolerate technological rivals." Chen felt a chill run down her spine. "Are you suggesting that by encountering your war, we've now made humanity a target?" "Yes," Jarek said simply, "but also an opportunity. Your technology, combined with our knowledge of Scourge tactics, could turn the tide of this war." "What exactly are you asking of us, Commander?" Chen asked, although she already knew the answer. "The colony world of Meridian Prime is 3 light days from here," Jarek said. "Over 4 million refugees from conquered worlds reside there. The Scourge were planning to attack before your arrival. Now they will accelerate their timeline." The alien paused, all 4 eyes focused intently on Chen. "We ask for your help in defending Meridian Prime. In return, we offer alliance, technology exchange, and protection for your homeworld when the Scourge eventually find it, as they surely will." Chen looked at Torres and Nakamura, seeing her own thoughts reflected in their expressions. They had come to explore, not to fight in an alien war. But if what Jarek said was true, humanity was already involved whether they wanted to be or not. "I need to discuss this with my senior staff," Chen said finally. Jarek made a gesture of agreement. "Of course, Captain. But please understand, time is short, and whether you choose to help us or not, Your arrival has already changed this war forever." As the meeting concluded, Captain Ilara Chen felt the weight of history on her shoulders. What had begun as an exploration mission had become something far more significant. The fate of not just the Arcturus, but potentially all of humanity, might now depend on what she decided next. Humanity's stand. The UES Arcturus dropped out of FTL alongside 6 Meridian vessels, the combined fleet emerging into the Meridian Prime system in a perfect defensive formation. Through the main viewport, Captain Chen could see the planet itself, a blue-green world with 3 small moons, orbiting a yellow star not unlike Earth's sun. "Beautiful," Torres said, standing beside her. "Hard to believe it's home to refugees from 3 different species. 4 million souls," Chen replied quietly. "All of them already displaced by this war." The decision to help defend Meridian Prime hadn't been easy. Captain Chen had spent hours discussing it with her senior staff, weighing their duty to Earth against the immediate threat to millions of lives. In the end, they agreed. If the Scourge Dominion was as dangerous as Jarek claimed, Earth needed allies. Helping the collective now might save Earth later. Sensors detecting multiple FTL signatures at the system's edge. Lieutenant Commander Kapoor announced. "Scourge Attack Force has arrived." On the main screen, dozens of crystalline ships appeared, moving in perfect formation like a single organism. 52 vessels, reported Lieutenant Takahashi from Tactical. "We're outnumbered almost 4-1. Commander Jarek, who had remained aboard the human ship as liaison, made a sound that the translation system interpreted as concern. More than expected. The Scourge always commit overwhelming force. It is how they have conquered so many worlds." Chen studied the enemy fleet. They're maintaining the same formation as before. No adaptation to account for our presence. The Scourge rely on technological superiority and numbers, Jarek explained. They rarely change tactics because they rarely need to. Lieutenant Commander Victor Orloff, the Arcturus's strategic operations officer, had been analyzing Scourge battle records provided by the Meridian Collective. He stepped forward, eyes still on his data pad. "Captain, I've identified a pattern. The Scourge attack in waves, overwhelming one section of a defensive perimeter at a time. They expect their opponents to form a protective shell around the planet, which is exactly what we won't do," Chen said. "Commander Orloff, finalize your tactical plan with Lieutenant Takahashi. I want it ready to implement in 30 minutes. "Yes, Captain." In the tactical room, Orloff presented his plan to the senior staff and Meridian officers. A 3-dimensional projection showed both fleets and the planet. Standard Scourge procedure is to probe for weaknesses, then concentrate their forces here. He indicated a section of the defensive perimeter. They expect us to distribute our forces evenly. He manipulated the display, showing a different configuration. "I propose we adopt Earth naval tactics from the Age of Sail, specifically the concept of ships of the line and Wolfpack interceptors. The Arcturus and 3 larger Meridian vessels would form a mobile battle line, presenting a concentrated wall of firepower that could reposition quickly. Meanwhile, the smaller Meridian ships would be organized into 4 rapid response groups that could harass the Scourge flanks or reinforce threatened sections. The Scourge have never faced human battle strategies," Orloff explained. "They won't expect coordinated asymmetric warfare." Jarek looked confused. "This is very different from our usual tactics." "Exactly the point," Chen replied. "Chief Engineer Patel, can we make any quick modifications to the Meridian ships to enhance their effectiveness?" Anik Patel, the Arcturus's chief engineer, nodded eagerly. "Their shield frequencies are compatible with ours. We could strengthen them by approximately 30% with some quick adjustments, and if we calibrate their sensors to our targeting parameters, we could improve their accuracy against moving targets." For 3 hours, human engineers worked alongside Meridian technicians, making modifications to their ships. The Arcturus's railgun design was too complex to replicate quickly, but they managed to improve the alien shields and targeting systems significantly. Scourge fleet will be in attack range in 10 minutes, announced Kapoor's voice over the comm. Chen returned to the bridge. On the view screen, the enemy fleet approached in perfect formation. Too perfect. They're predictable, she said suddenly. Look at their approach vector. It's exactly the same pattern they used in our previous encounter. Orlov nodded. They rely on overwhelming force, not creativity. We can use that against them. As the Scourge fleet approached, the Meridian ships didn't form their usual defensive sphere. Instead, they broke into the small attack groups Orlov had suggested. The Arcturus and 3 larger Meridian vessels moved to a position that appeared to leave the planet's northern hemisphere exposed. They're taking the bait, Takahashi said as the Scourge fleet adjusted course toward the apparent weakness. Chen watched the enemy ships commit to their new course. All ships execute attack pattern Alpha. The battle erupted in chaos, but a controlled chaos the humans had planned for. The Meridian attack groups struck from multiple directions, hitting the Scourge ship's engines and weapons, then speeding away before they could respond. The Arcturus fired its rail guns in precise salvos, each shot punching through Scourge shields that had been calibrated to stop energy weapons, not physical projectiles. On the bridge of the Arcturus, Lieutenant Takahashi worked her console with remarkable speed, coordinating fire patterns with the Meridian vessels. "How are you targeting so quickly?" Jarek asked in amazement. Takahashi didn't look up from her station. Standard human reaction time. Nothing special. The Scourge fleet tried to adapt, but they were facing tactics they had never encountered. 5 of their ships were already disabled, their perfect formation broken and scattered. "They're confused," Chen observed with grim satisfaction. "They don't know how to respond to multiple attack vectors." For 20 minutes, the battle raged. The human-designed strategy was working. The Scourge had lost 9 ships without managing to disable a single Meridian vessel. But then the tide began to turn. "Captain, the Scourge are adapting," Kapoor warned. "They're splitting their forces to counter our attack groups." Chen had anticipated this. "Commander Orlov, implement Phase 2. Orlov nodded. "All ships, execute pattern Omega." Suddenly, the scattered Meridian attack groups converged, forming a spear-like formation with the Arcturus at its tip. The combined fleet accelerated directly toward the heart of the Scourge formation, which had spread out to counter their previous tactics. "Full power to forward shields," Chen ordered. "Prepare all weapons." The Arcturus led the charge, its massive hull absorbing the brunt of the Scourge counterattack. But its enhanced shields held, and the human warship drove deep into the enemy formation like a battering ram. "Fire all weapons," Chen commanded. The Arcturus unleashed its full arsenal, rail guns, missile batteries, and energy weapons, at point-blank range into the surrounding Scourge vessels. The effect was devastating. 3 enemy ships were destroyed instantly, and 4 more severely damaged. The Meridian vessels followed in the Arcturus's wake, their weapons, now enhanced by human targeting systems, striking with unprecedented accuracy. The Scourge formation, already disrupted, collapsed entirely. "They're retreating," Takahashi reported as the surviving Scourge ships began to disengage, accelerating away from Meridian Prime. 23 enemy vessels destroyed or disabled. The rest are withdrawing. A cheer went up from the bridge crew. Even Jarek made a sound that the translator interpreted as jubilation. "Victory," the alien said. "The first decisive victory against a Scourge assault force in over 20 cycles." Chen didn't share their enthusiasm just yet. Maintain battle stations. They might regroup for another attack. But after an hour, it became clear the Scourge had truly retreated. Sensor data showed them jumping to FTL, heading back toward their territory. "Stand down from red alert," Chen finally ordered. "Damage report." "Minor damage to decks 4 through 7, Torres reported. 3 casualties, none critical. Shields down to 30% but regenerating. We'll be at full capacity within 3 hours. Chen nodded. "And the Meridian fleet?" 2 vessels with moderate damage, but all operational. No ship losses. Jarek approached Chen, making a formal gesture with his 4 arms that the humans had learned was a sign of deep respect. Captain Chen, you and your crew have saved Meridian Prime and its 4 million inhabitants. The Collective Council wishes to speak with you immediately. 24 hours later, Captain Chen stood in the Arcturus's conference room, now modified to accommodate a holographic communication system provided by the Meridians. Before her stood the projected images of 7 aliens, each representing a different species within the Meridian Collective. Captain Ilara Chen of Earth began the central figure, an imposing being with crystalline features entirely different from the Meridians. I am High Counselor Thexar of the Collective. Your intervention at Meridian Prime has resonated throughout our territories. Chen nodded respectfully. We were honored to assist, High Counselor. What you have demonstrated goes beyond mere assistance, said another counselor, a being composed of what appeared to be swirling gases contained within a humanoid force field. Your tactics and technology have proven that the Scourge can be defeated decisively. In a single engagement, you have accomplished what we have failed to do in decades, added a third counselor. The question now, Thexar continued, is whether this marks the beginning of a formal alliance between humanity and the Collective. Chen had anticipated this question. Earth's government had granted her limited diplomatic authority for first contact scenarios, but a full military alliance was beyond her scope. High Counselor, I am not authorized to commit Earth to such an alliance without consulting my government. However, I can promise to convey your proposal and advocate for cooperation between our peoples. Thexar nodded, understanding. How long will this consultation require? The Arcturus must return to Earth to report our findings. With our FTL capabilities, the journey will take approximately 3 weeks. 3 weeks, repeated one of the counselors, sounding impressed. Your propulsion technology exceeds our own as well. While you consult with your leaders, Thexar said, we offer protection for your vessel and open exchange of non-military information. We would also request permission to send a small delegation to accompany you to Earth as official representatives of the Collective. Chen considered this. Having alien representatives would certainly help convince Earth's governments of the legitimacy and importance of this contact. I accept your offer, High Counselor, provided the delegation is limited to 3 individuals. Our ship was not designed to accommodate many non-human visitors. Thexar agreed, and the meeting concluded with formal expressions of goodwill from both sides. Later, Chen stood with Torres and Dr. Nakamura in her private ready room, discussing the implications of everything that had happened. So we're taking aliens back to Earth, Torres said, still sounding slightly stunned by the rapid turn of events. Earth needs to understand what we're facing, Chen replied. This isn't just about first contact anymore. It's about humanity's place in a galactic conflict we never knew existed. Dr. Nakamura nodded. The scientific and cultural exchange opportunities are extraordinary, but I'm concerned about the military implications. The Scourge won't forget what happened here. No, they won't, Chen agreed, which is why Earth needs to prepare. We got lucky this time. Our technology happened to be effective against theirs. We can't count on that advantage lasting once they adapt. Torres frowned. You think they'll find Earth? Eventually, Chen said grimly. Jarek showed me their expansion patterns. The Scourge are methodical. Once they identify a technological rival, they don't stop until that rival is eliminated or subjugated. Then we need the Collective as much as they need us, Nakamura concluded. Chen looked out the viewport at the stars. Stars that now seemed less mysterious and far more dangerous than when they had begun this mission. Exactly. Humanity just became a player in a war we didn't start, fighting for survival alongside allies we didn't know existed a week ago. She turned back to her officers, and it's our job to make sure Earth is ready. 3 days later, the Arcturus prepared to depart the Meridian Prime system. 3 representatives from the Collective, Jarek, Nelara, and a representative from a third species called the Vorsine, had come aboard for the journey to Earth. As the human warship engaged its FTL drive, leaving behind the world they had saved, Captain Ilara Chen knew that nothing would ever be the same. Humanity had stepped onto the galactic stage in dramatic fashion, making both powerful allies and dangerous enemies in a single stroke. The stars streaked past as the Arcturus accelerated, carrying with it not just Earth's first ambassadors to alien civilizations, but also the knowledge that humanity was no longer alone, and that their fight for survival among the stars had only just begun.